Hey Faith kids and families, it's me, Pastor Gretchen, here again to bring you the message for the week. The idea this week is that we don't need to worry about anything, but we need to pray about everything. So join me for the message to come. You're going to love it. If you're joining us today, please hit the share button. You know, that's the fastest way to share God's love with those you know and love. God loves them too. Hit the share button and let's spread His word. So today, our Bible story comes from the book of Luke. In Luke chapter 10, do you have your handy dandy Bibles with you? I hope so. You need to open them up. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke. So Luke 10, verses 38 to 42. They tell us the story about Jesus and some of his closest friends. He was really close friends with Mary and Martha and their brother Lazarus. So he's traveling a whole lot, but he comes to visit them. And as you can imagine, they were so excited when he came to visit. They were waiting for him, but as you can also imagine, there was a lot to do to prepare for the meal that they were going to feed him. So Martha starts rushing around. She's cooking, she's cleaning, she's preparing this meal. She's in full preparation mode. She's a nervous wreck. You know, she's one of those women that you see that's like, bah, 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 bah. You know, they're scattering all over the place, thinking of all the things they have to do, rushing here, there, and everywhere because, yeah, she has a huge meal to prepare. And if she doesn't do it, who's going to do it? But as she's totally in crazy mode, getting all this stuff done, she happens to notice Mary is not in there with her. Her sister Mary, she looks out and finds her with Jesus. Martha is not happy. She's really ticked off. She's really annoyed and she's super frustrated. You know, she's like, here I am. I'm the one. I'm doing all this to prepare for our friend Jesus being here. And Mary, you know, where are you? Why aren't you helping me? I'm here. I'm a nervous wreck and I'm doing this all by myself. So what does Martha do? Well, she goes in to talk to Jesus. She says, Lord, isn't it so unfair that my sister Mary is out there? She's just hanging out with you and I'm in here doing all the work. Don't you think this is unfair? I mean, look at this. I'm doing everything and she's doing nothing. And Martha tells Jesus, tell my sister to come in here and help me. How does Jesus respond to that? Well, he says to Martha, Martha, you are not doing the right thing. Mary, on the other hand, is doing exactly what should be done right now. She's the one who has it right. Martha had to be blown away by that. You know, she's working her tail off in the kitchen, preparing all this stuff for him. And when she says, hey, this isn't fair, Jesus said, well, Mary chose the better thing. Better than preparing a meal, better than stressing out over it, better than rushing around, Mary chose to be quiet and just spend time with me. Matthew 11:28 says, come to me, all you who are weary, and I will give you rest. That's an amazing promise. You know, we get so burdened down. We get so worried about so many different things. And Jesus is saying, hey, the right thing to do in this situation is to just to come and spend some time with me. I will give you rest. Today, we're going to learn and talk about how we can come to Jesus when life gets us stressed out, when we feel worried, when we feel anxiety, when we feel a little bit panicked inside, or maybe a lot bit panicked inside. We're going to talk about how can we go to Jesus with this? How can we go to him and find rest? And you want to listen carefully because this lesson is something you'll carry with you the rest of your lives. To help illustrate and show you this point today, I have two containers. One is labeled worry, and one is labeled trust. And we'll get back to these in a minute. But first, I want to tell you what today's power verse is. It's found in Philippians. It's Philippians 4:6. And it says, don't worry about anything, but pray about everything. You know, life can feel really hard. It can get difficult. It can actually be really hard. There are a lot of pressures. You kids face them. Adults face them. Everybody faces different pressures. Sometimes we feel like we have to measure up to somebody else. Sometimes we feel like, you have so much schoolwork to get done. You have pressure to get it turned in time. Sometimes you're feeling like, I have to perform really well at this game. Maybe you've been in soccer. Maybe you've been in baseball. Maybe you've been a cheerleader. And there's different things that you have to remember. There's different criteria that you have to meet. And you're feeling like stress to remember everything you're supposed to remember. You're feeling stress to do your very best. But God doesn't want us to feel that way. He doesn't want us to stress out. He doesn't want us to worry about anything. So how do we do that? How do we not worry about anything? Well, again, we have trust and we have worry. Sometimes people will say, well, I trust God a lot, but I worry sometimes. Can those two things go together? Can we trust God and still worry? Think about that for a minute. What does trusting God really look like? And if God is God, can He handle all of the things that our life has? All of the things that we deal with? You remember Martha, right? She was so worried. She's running back and forth. She's so focused on all the things that she needs to do that she forgets to be focused on Him, the reason that she was doing all those things. Sometimes we get so focused with all the things that we need to do that we forget we really should be focused on Jesus. We really should be focused on who He is and the truth of who He says we are. We're His children. We're His beloved. You are His child. You are His beloved. He loves you. He has a plan for your life. He sees you. He knows you. And He says, don't worry. So what do you think? Do you think maybe we can take Him at His word and say, okay, well, if God said He has me, then maybe I shouldn't worry anymore. So back to my question, do you think that worry and trust go together? Well, I have another cup here. It's empty. So we're going to take one thing at a time and see, maybe these two things do go together. Worry, let's add a little worry. And now we'll add a little trust. Oh yeah, it looks like they go together. Wait a second. Do they go together? Or do they need to be separate? Can we trust in God if we're also worried about the things of this life? In this cup, they're separating. That tells us something. Worry and trust don't go together. So, what are you going to choose today? Are you going to choose to trust in God? Because He says He has you. He says, don't worry about anything, but pray about everything. Or are you going to choose to keep worrying just a little bit? If you keep worrying just a little bit, you're not trusting God just that little bit. If you trust God the whole bit, I can't wait to see how He shows up in your life. I can't wait to hear about how He's meeting your needs. Our God is big enough to meet every need you have. He's strong enough. He's mighty enough. He has all the riches in the world. They're all His. So trust Him. Trust Him to meet all your needs. So now that you know that God said, don't worry about anything, but pray about everything, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to start praying about everything? I challenge you today. Start making a habit of praying about all the things that you think about. Take some time today and sit in the Lord's presence, just like Mary did. Remember, Jesus said to Martha, Mary's doing what is right. So we want to be just like that. We want to choose to do what's right and spend some time in Jesus' presence today. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week. Tune in Wednesday to hear about how we can pray about everything.